What's up, guys? This is Luminous again, talking about heroes. Hero talk with what the hell is my series called? Lumi Talks. Anyways, yeah, this is Lumi Talks Hero, and this hero today we're gonna talk about Rikimaru. If this is the first Lumi Talks hero that you ever watch, it's basically me sitting around talking about hero. The hero suggested today is Rikimaru, and it's suggested by live viewers. This is a unplanned, unprepared, impromptu series, so I will be making some mistakes. It might be unorganized, but I feel like the information that I'm about to talk about is going to be good. Now, if you want to join the live viewing of the Lumi Talks hero, follow me on Facebook, because I will announce ahead of time when I'll be doing stuff like this, and you can ask questions later towards the end about the stuff I talked about the stuff that I didn't talk about. Alright, so Rikimaru is the self-assassin, and with his level 6 ultimate, or level 11 and 16, he gets to turn invis and gank all over the map. His best spell should be the smoke screen, because it is broken. 6 seconds no matter duration in terms of silence, AoE silence, and in combination with items such as Purge, it really deals massive damage. Backstab just recently got buffed, so he is really a very strong hero. Now he has been, like, for a long time the assassin of pubs, though as of late pubs have been trying hard. Like, I mean trying hard. Whenever I pick a random self assassin, you could bet someone on the other team is either going Gondar or Slardar, like, for sure. Like, they just hardcore counter you very hard. And supports nowadays been doing pretty good in terms of grabbing sentries or dust and just screw you over. So if you've been trying to just own it up in SA or in pubs with SA, well, do be careful about that. Now, that's the obvious thing. Let's talk about skill build first. Skill build I generally go is smoke screen or blink at 1, depending what lane you feel necessary. Smoke screen is obvious for the silence, and the mischance, pretty important. Blink strike is basically like, oh shoot, I'm getting owned, and I could blink to my teammates or my creep and get the hell out. Generally, I leave my points unskilled. Yes, I leave it unskilled level 1 simply because, well, I don't know what I need yet, depending on lane, right? So generally at level 2, and then I pick blink, and then blink and smoke at the same time. Alright, so after that, what do you go, right? Now that depends. If you're getting in a free farm, in the lane, if you're getting free farm, you go backstab, because it helps you last creep like crazy. If you're getting like a tri-lane versus solo, a tri-lane versus dual lane, if you have a lot of kill chances, then go a mixture between blink strike and backstab. Backstab gives you great damage, so you should at least have 1 point into it. And then blink strike, every time you level it up, you lower the cooldown by 5. So that is a more case dependent situation. Sometimes if you need to chase like crazy, more points with blink strike is obvious. If you have 2 great stunners in your lane, I'm talking about like Shaker and CM or something like that, then more backstab is probably viable. Again, he's a very versatile hero in that regard, but generally you should generally have smoke at 1 or 2, and then blink strike at the other level. Take your ultimate whenever you can. There's no reason to skip it. It lowers the fade time. Great. Skill build, very standard. As item build, pretty standard as well. Generally, you go for treads. You go for agility heavy items. Items like buffs up your backstab. Now, and talks about agility heavy items. Treads, Purge Blade, Manta, Yasha, SMY not too bad because it gives you some health. And then after your treads and your first core item, generally treads into Diffusal Blade, you go BKB. Yes, you go BKB. You might be saying, why BKB? Doesn't that take you out of permanent invis? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But when you're popping the BKB, generally you're going to be owning some kit anyways, so you probably don't need invis because you're going to be fighting. And that's generally because teams they hate Riki. They see Riki, they just lob 8 stuns on you, and they you know. Now, for whatever reason, if your enemy team don't have 8 stuns, then if you just want more extra damage, then, you know, your standard item after Purge Blade is fine, like Manta, SMY, etc, etc. I'm actually not a big fan of SMY because Purge Blade already gives you slow. Now, some of you guys, before I go to the question section, is going to be like, oh, what about Mask of Madness Riki? You are already easy enough to kill. What about Vlad's first Riki? No. Oh, I'm not sure if you guys are wondering. Oh, if you guys are wondering, didn't Dota Cinema recently have a video about Riki? And the stuff that they're saying is like the exact stuff I'm saying right now. Yeah, I proofread for Dota Cinema. They sent me their guides, and I was like, okay, you should fix this up. So basically, like, I inspect their guide, and that's why the content is so similar, because the person behind it. Anyways, that was like a shameless self-advertisement. Anyways, the Riki item build and skill build is so standard. That's not where the skill comes in. The skill comes in terms of what you do with Riki, and that's the hardest thing to distinguish a Hovos Riki and a pub star Riki, right? And here's where you have to be careful when you play Rikimaru. You gotta watch the sentry wards. You gotta watch dust on supports. Like literally every time you see a Crystal Maiden, you click on her. You make sure she has what item she has, or actually click on any hero and make sure what they have. Especially when they have an odd number of sentry ward. If you see a Crystal Maiden walking around with like 1 sentry ward or 3 sentry ward, you better be sure where you're going. You check if they have gem. Like a lot of I'm not sure if you have this experience. Every time I have a Riki in my team, this always occur. Like 40 minutes of game, the Riki just dies. And then he says, oh, they have a gem. Well, no shit, they have a gem. Why don't you check their items, right? Like, it's so key to check items. And that goes without saying. It goes without saying for every hero, right? But it's so much more key for Stealth Assassin to do it. Also, another playstyle for Rikimaru is there's 2 distinctive playstyles. If there's very easy to gank heroes, especially if you could do it with Smokescreen, Blink Strike, and a stun from your teammate alone, then yeah, by all means, go gank like crazy. Or if you feel like, man, their heroes are so tanky, or these guys are warding up really good, or if they have TP scrolls, whatever else, like if you feel like you just don't gank, then farm. Like Riki's not bad semi-carry 35-40 minutes in game. He doesn't get that late, but he's not too bad. He's not too bad. So you could actually farm pretty well and go up for a quick Purge Blade and then go back to killing. That's pretty good, viable too. Don't do this though. Don't actually just move your hero and follow enemy heroes. I seen Pup do that all the time. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna scout them out. And then what? And then they're farming and you watch them farm. And then they're level 18 and you're level 4. Well, actually, you can't scout them farm when you're level 4. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like, I see a lot of pro players, they just like follow enemy around and they just do nothing. And it just baffles me. Why? Don't do that, please. So yeah, again, Riki is not that hard in terms of buying items, in terms of, you know, choosing his skill points. He's hard in terms of playing it right. And most people don't. Most people don't have a sense to go gank when he's probably one of the best ganking semi-carry there is. Like, I cannot think of a better ganking semi-carry. Yeah. Like, he bypassed wards like crazy. And suddenly, like, even if your enemy sees a Crystal Maiden farming in lane, sometimes he's just too afraid to gank the Crystal Maiden because you don't know if Riki is around. You carry TP scrolls around all the time because not only are you, like, you know, you're farming on top and suddenly you just TP on the bot lane. They just don't know that you're doing that. He's so conspicuous. Now, another thing about playing Riki is try not to farm that much. I know that just directly contradict what I'm saying earlier about, like, oh yeah, you know, farming Diffusal Blade. If you're playing a successful Riki game, you generally don't want to farm after you leave your lane. That's because, let's say, imagine the scenario, right? You're getting owned really hard. Like, the kill count is like 10 and they have 30 kills. And they have a Riki on their team, right? Suddenly your mentality is like, oh shoot, where the hell is that Riki? I need to know exactly where he is. But if that Riki's farming all the time, you're like, oh yeah, he's top lane. I could see his color on the minimap. Oh great, I could farm now. I could gank. I could do whatever I need to do. But if that Riki, if he's just not on the minimap, if you don't see him farming, you're like, oh shoot, I can't do anything. You just can't. And that's a power that that's a power that Riki could have. He doesn't even need to be farmed. Doesn't need to be high level. Just the fact that if you're losing and you just don't see Riki on the minimap, you're scared. And when you're playing Riki, especially if you have a successful game and you just own the laning stage, that is the effect that you will have, and keep that in mind. Like, Riki's a very mentality heavy hero, and I enjoy playing him a lot because of that. Especially in pub level games, you could take really big advantage of that. I think I spent like the past 10 minutes on this Lumi Talks hero, focusing his pub mentality, and to be honest, he's played a lot in pub, so I think that's very valuable and great. In terms of professional games, you definitely seen Navi actually use Rikimaru in the grand finals against Quantic, game number 4. Check that out. That's my shameless self advertisement. That's on my YouTube. You can see him there. He got free farm there. He got really quick item. I don't think, did he get Purge Play? I think he might have. Maybe he got he got Yasha instead. He got Yasha first instead. A decent choice as well. But yeah, Riki definitely is a very strong, very strong, capable, viable hero in the competitive scene. He counters enemy mage pretty good because of his 6-second smoke. Oh yeah, tiny Riki tip. If you're backstabbing an enemy hero, like you're just walking up to him, let's say he's an anti-mage, don't walk up to him and smoke immediately. That's a waste of time. Or not a waste of time. But a better thing you could do is actually backstab him once, attack him once, and then smoke. Because most humans, unless you're like freaking Dandy or whoever else, most human, they just don't have that quick a reaction rate. So you could attack him once, and then smoke, and then purge, and then blink, and whatever else. Don't just smoke right off from the get-go, because you're wasting some precious seconds of attacks that you could have gotten. Sometimes, if you're against very slow-moving heroes that don't even have a slower stun, then you could attack him 2 or 3 times before smoke. It just, yeah, it's just tiny tips. Make sure you very least attack him once, though. Especially for like heroes that has very slow blink animation. The only hero that you don't want to do that against is Potom, because Potom's leap is so fast that it doesn't take any casting time. That's when you want to smoke first. So I'm pretty sure like different situations call for different needs, and you guys could distinguish the difference. So that's the kind of the Riki tip. Any other Riki tip? Can't think of any right now, so go with questions for now, and then if I think of any Riki tip. Riki carrying gem. I like the idea. It's not too bad. I personally never did it, but I personally hate this. I hate carrying gem because I feel like if I lose it, you just give the gem to enemy and it's really messed up. So, but then you also see Sentry Wards. I don't know how to call this one. I think that comes down to player preference. Let's see. Yeah, Basher, I don't know. I feel like Purge Blade is already really good for what you do. I think if you're going Basher, then you're also, in the back of your mind, you say, yeah, I'm not going to go Purge. But Purge is too good to skip on. Riki does have good enough attack speed to make Basher work, especially in a late game situation where he just needs to DPS. Or not really DPS, but kind of go 1v1 situation against enemy carry. Like, Riki just sucks in terms of heads up against enemy carries, because, you want to be backstabbing. You want to be, you don't want to be 1v1 face to face. So if this situation calls for it, I think Basher is a viable choice. You could upgrade to Abysmal Blade. I cannot believe I'm saying Abysmal Blade is a viable choice. But given the fact that you have a Blink Strike and you could get into immediate 100 range and then drop off a 2-second stun, it's a viable choice. But if the game goes to that point where you have to get Basher and Abysmal Blade, I think something's horribly wrong. Like, I feel like Riki's one of those heroes that you could close out games very easily. You get the early ganks off, get the Diffusal Blade, get the BKB or Manta, whatever you need, and the game should be over by then. But it's viable. I don't like it, but I think it's okay. Ethereal Blade on Riki. I mean, Dagon Riki is pretty good too. So is Sentry. What a Refresher Riki. That's pretty good too. Some people are suggesting Monair, Assault Curious, think Battle Fury. Battle Fury. Someone asked, does AoE backstab? No, it doesn't. I don't think it does. No, I think backstab applies to only target that you're hitting, and you don't splash. I mean, like, yeah, Butterfly, all those items are very viable. Different situation calls for different needs. But I think it would take a lot to convince me the standard Diffuso Manta kind of thing. Because it gives you so much agility. It's so good. Any more? Oh, one thing about buying Butterfly on Riki. 99% of the time when you're buying Butterfly, you generally want to buy the Talisman of Evasion first. Because it's just more cost effective. Evasion is pretty good at late game. And simply you don't want to spend that much gold at the end stage of the game. You probably want to save for buyback as well. But for Riki, you probably want to get for the Ego Song first. Because of the agility that gives you for backstab. So, yes, BKB is probably a must in late game. Again, that depends on the heroes. If they don't have many stuns, then you can completely skip it. Oh, one distinct playstyle of Riki is don't be the first into a team fight. For obvious reasons. You don't want to eat up too many stuns. So. Yep, any more questions? Should Riki go for face boot or treads? As much as I love face boots, I think he's kind of a treads guy. Face boot does give you 24 damage, which in conjunction with blink strike and the fact that it raises your attack speed is very good. But I feel like treads carry him into late game a little bit better. The backstab makes up for that plus 24 damage with the plus 8 damage from the agility and the extra little bit damage that you get from black strike. I think the attack speed is just a little bit more viable. You could get some cool tread switching action, switch treads into whatever else. Actually, I've been experimenting quite a bit with Dagon Riki lately. It's cool. It's fun to play. Just something to point out. Right, I think that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Lumi Talks Hero for this time. Yeah, so just want to reiterate one more time. If you want to follow the series, follow me on Facebook. And I've been thinking I'm gonna do a little bit more of this frequently, and then I could upload them to YouTube for people that are not able to make it up live. Yeah, but if you follow me on Facebook, be like, oh yeah, I'm doing a Lumi Talks Hero in just a bit, and then you could suggest heroes, etc., etc., etc. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, this is Luminous, signing off. See you guys.